The room was already clapping. Not for me. For him. Aaron Blake stood at the front, smiling like he had just built something brilliant. Behind him, the screen glowed with slides I knew by heart. My words. My structure. My late nights. My idea. This system will change how we track client risk, Aaron said, confident, smooth. The same sentence I wrote 3 weeks ago. My hands went cold. I couldn't even move. Around me, people nodded, impressed. My manager, Paul Grayson, leaned forward with interest I had never seen him give me. I wanted to stand up. I wanted to say something, but I didn't, because I was trying to understand how this was even happening. Slide after slide, it was all mine. Then Aaron clicked to the final section. And now, he said, I'll show you a live demo. My heart dropped, because that demo was never in the version he stole. Only I knew how it actually worked. The room went quiet. Everyone leaned in. Aaron looked proud. I just sat there, staring at the screen, feeling something shift inside me. Not panic, not fear, something colder. Because in that moment, I realized something very important. He didn't steal everything. And what he missed was about to matter. Aaron presses run, and the system begins. The demo loaded. At first, everything looked fine. Graphs appeared. Data moved. Aaron spoke like he was in control. But I saw it immediately. The delay. A small pause between inputs and results. No one else noticed. But I did. Because that pause meant one thing. He didn't have access to the live engine. He was running a surface copy. A hollow version. I leaned back in my chair, forcing my face to stay still. Don't react. Don't help. Aaron clicked again. Another function. This time, the system hesitated longer. A flicker on the screen. Paul frowned slightly. Aaron kept talking faster now, filling the silence. Just loading real-time data, he said. It wasn't. I could feel eyes starting to shift in the room. Not toward me. Not yet. But away from him. And then Paul turned to me. Eli, he said, loud enough for everyone. Watch closely. This is how strong ideas are presented. A few people laughed softly. My chest tightened. Humiliation burned through me. But I didn't argue. I just nodded. Because something had already started. And I knew exactly where it was going. Aaron clicked again. The system froze. Not for a second. For too long. The room went completely silent. Aaron stopped speaking. He clicked again. Nothing. Aaron turns and looks directly at me. That was the moment everything broke. Not the system. The illusion. Aaron's eyes locked onto mine. Not confident anymore. Not calm. Searching. Like he suddenly understood something he should have known before. I sat there, still quiet. Still invisible to everyone else in the room. But not to him. Not anymore. Because now he knew. This wasn't just a presentation. This was something he didn't control. My coworker stole my idea. I remember thinking, my pulse steady now. And this is what happened when the presentation started. The silence stretched. Then Aaron forced a laugh. Just a small glitch, he said. Let me reset. But his hands weren't steady. He clicked again. The system didn't respond. Paul leaned back, his expression changing. The excitement was gone. Now there was doubt. And in that doubt, I saw my first shift. Small, but real. Because for the first time, Aaron didn't look like the smartest person in the room. He looked lost. And for the first time, I wasn't invisible. I was the only one who understood what was happening. And I hadn't said a word. Paul speaks again. Eli, do you know what's wrong with this? My name is Eli Turner. And before that moment, I was the easiest person in the room to ignore. I sat in the same chair every day. I came in early. I stayed late. I fixed problems no one noticed. I sent reports no one read. And when something worked, someone else usually got the credit. That someone was often Aaron Blake. He knew how to talk, how to present, how to take up space. I knew how to build things. That was the difference. For the past 3 months, I had been working on a system to fix one of our biggest problems, tracking client risk in real time. It wasn't flashy, but it worked. I tested it, improved it, rebuilt parts of it from scratch. No team, no support, just me. I wasn't even supposed to present it yet. I was still refining it. Which is why seeing Aaron standing there, presenting it like it was finished, didn't just feel like theft. It felt like something was. Like I had been erased. Paul was still looking at me. Eli, he asked again. Any idea what's happening here? The room turned toward me. Every eye. For the first time. I swallowed. And stood up slowly. I walked toward the front, but I'm not sure yet what I'm about to say. As I walked to the front, memories hit me all at once. Late nights alone in the office. The hum of old computers. Cold coffee. Fixing errors that weren't mine. Watching others leave early, laughing, while I stayed behind. And then the next morning, watching Aaron explain my fixes like they were his ideas. Team effort, he would say. But he always stood in front. I stayed in the back. Paul loved that. He liked confidence, noise, visibility, not quiet work, not people like me. I remember one meeting clearly. I suggested a small change. Paul didn't even look at me. 5 minutes later, Aaron said the same thing. Paul smiled. Exactly, he said. That's how it always worked. So when I finally decided to build something bigger, something undeniable, I didn't tell anyone. I worked in silence. I believed that when it was ready, it would speak for itself. I didn't think someone would take it before it had the chance. Now, I stood at the front of the room, right next to Aaron. He stepped slightly back, giving me space, but not trust. His eyes were sharp now. Careful. Go ahead, Paul said. Help him out. Help him. The words stayed in my head. I looked at the frozen screen, then at Aaron, then back at Paul. I take a breath, and decide not to fix it. I didn't speak right away. Instead, I looked at the system, carefully, like I was just another analyst trying to figure it out. But inside, I already knew, because this wasn't the first time something felt wrong. Weeks ago, Aaron had started asking me questions. At first, they seemed normal. Hey Eli, what are you working on these days? Anything interesting? I gave simple answers. Nothing detailed. But then his questions changed. Too specific. What data source are you using? Are you running it live or cached? That's when I felt it. A small discomfort. Like someone was looking over my shoulder, even when no one was there. I started closing my laptop more often. Locking files. Saving backups. I didn't accuse him. I didn't even fully understand what I was feeling. But I paid attention. Now, standing in front of the broken demo, that feeling came back stronger. Because this wasn't coincidence. This was planned. And he thought he had everything. I reached for the keyboard. Paused. Then pulled my hand back. I'm not sure yet, I said calmly. Aaron blinked. That wasn't what he expected. Paul's tone changes. You're not sure, or you don't want to say. Paul's question hung in the air. Sharp. Suspicious. Before I could answer, a voice spoke from the back. Maybe we should check the system logs. Everyone turned. It was Ravi Shah. Quiet. Observant. Always in the background. An IT contractor most people barely noticed. Except me. Because once, weeks ago, he had said something strange to me. I was leaving late. He was working near the server room. He looked at my screen for a second and said, "You should be careful who can see your work." I laughed it off. I thought he meant general advice. Now, hearing him speak again, it didn't feel random. Paul frowned. Logs. Ravi nodded. Yes, access logs. Might explain the issue. Aaron's posture changed instantly. Subtle. But I saw it. Tension in his shoulders. A small shift in his breathing. No need for that, Aaron said quickly. It's just a demo glitch. Ravi didn't argue. He just looked at me, for a second. Like he was waiting. I held his gaze. And understood. This wasn't just about a broken system anymore. This was about proof. And someone else knew it. Paul says, after this meeting, I want those logs. The room moved on. Awkwardly, Aaron skipped the demo and rushed through the last slides. No one clapped this time. The energy was gone. But something else had taken its place. Doubt. As people started leaving, I stepped back quietly. Back to my usual place. Invisible again. But not really. Because now, Things were in motion. What no one knew was this. The system Aaron stole was never complete without one key part. The live engine. The part that connects everything in real time. The part one never saved in the shared folder. Not because I was hiding it, but because I was still building it. It ran from my local environment, under my control, always. And when I realized someone might be watching my work, I made a simple decision. I separated it completely, clean, legal, within company rules. Just careful. So when Aaron copied my files, he copied the structure, not the core. And without that core, the system would always fail. Not immediately, but eventually, just like it did. I packed my bag slowly. Aaron didn't look at me. Not once. My phone buzzes, a message from Ravi. We need to talk. Now. I found Ravi near the back stairwell. Quiet. Empty. He didn't waste time. You already know, don't you? He said. I nodded. He sighed. He accessed your files. Multiple times. Late at night. Hearing it out loud still felt heavy, even though I expected it. Why? I asked. Ravi leaned against the wall. Because he needed it. He explained quickly. Rumors had been spreading for weeks. Layoffs. Budget cuts. But also, one big promotion. Only one. And Aaron was desperate for it. He's been under pressure, Ravi said. Missing targets. Losing trust. I thought about that. About his sudden interest in my work. His timing. It all made sense now. He saw your project as a shortcut, Ravi added. Not because he respected it, but because he needed it. Fast. Clean. Impressive. And mine was exactly that. I felt something shift inside me again. Not anger. Something more focused. Because now I understood the full picture. This wasn't personal. To him. It was survival. But that didn't make it right. Ravi looked at me carefully. What are you going to do? I didn't answer immediately. Because for the first time, I wasn't thinking about reacting. I was thinking about timing. I say quietly, I'm going to let him keep going. That evening, I stayed late. Not to work. To confirm everything. Ravi gave me access to the logs. We sat side by side, the office almost empty, scrolling through data, timestamps, user IDs, file access records. And there it was. Aaron Blake. Again. And again. Opening my project files. Downloading copies. Even renaming versions. My work, moving through his account like it belonged to him. I stared at the screen. Part of me hoped it wouldn't be that clear. That obvious. But it was. There was no mistake. No misunderstanding. Just proof. Clean. Simple. Undeniable. Ravi looked at me. You can take this to HR, he said. I nodded slowly. I could. And maybe I should. But I knew how things worked here. They wouldn't see theft. They would see conflict. Confusion. Something messy. Something easy to ignore. Unless it became impossible to ignore. I closed the file. Saved a copy. Secure. Documented. Not yet, I said. Ravi didn't argue. He just nodded. Because he understood. This wasn't about catching him quietly. This was about something else. I look at the logs and realize there's one more entry from tonight. The last log entry was recent. Very recent. Aaron had accessed the files again. After the failed presentation. I checked the timestamp. Just minutes before I got the message from Ravi. Which meant one thing. He wasn't done. He was trying to fix it. To patch the problem. To recover. I leaned back in my chair. Thinking. Fast. If he fixed it before the next review. If he somehow made it work. Then the story would change. He wouldn't look like someone who failed. He would look like someone who improved. Recovered. Adapted. And once again, I would disappear. That's when I made my decision. Not emotional. Not rushed. Clear. I wouldn't stop him. I wouldn't report him. I would let him continue. Let him build on something he didn't understand. Let him believe he was in control. Because the more he relied on it, the more visible the truth would become. I stood up, packed my things. And for the first time since the morning, I felt calm. Not powerless. Not invisible. Prepared. The next morning, Aaron walks up to me, smiling like nothing happened. "Hey, Eli," Aaron said, casual. "About yesterday." I looked at him, calm, waiting. He smiled. "Just a small hiccup. Happens." Like it meant nothing. Like he hadn't just stood in front of the company using my work. "I'm refining the system," he added, "making it even better." I nodded slightly. "Good," I said. That seemed to relax him. Too quickly. Because he thought something very important. That I didn't know. Or worse. That I knew but wouldn't act. Either way, he underestimated me again. "Actually," he continued, lowering his voice, "I might need your help." There it was. Not honesty. Not an apology. Convenience. He needed access to what he didn't have. The core. "I'll think about it," I said. His smile tightened. "Just a little." "Sure," he replied. "Let me know." He walked away, confident again. But not fully. Not like before. Because something had changed. He just didn't know what. I sat down at my desk. Opened my system. Watched the live engine run perfectly. Clean. Stable. Strong. Then I closed it. Locked it. And leaned back. An email notification appears. "Emergency review meeting. Tomorrow morning." The subject line didn't say much. But the tone did. Emergency review meeting. Mandatory. All senior staff. And one name stood out at the bottom. Helen Ward, Regional Director. She never joined normal meetings. Ever. Which meant this wasn't about a simple demo failure anymore. This had gone higher. Faster than I expected. I looked across the office. Aaron was reading the same email. His face was different now. Still controlled. But tense. He knew. This was his moment. To recover. Or to fall. Paul walked out of his office shortly after, clapping his hands once. "Big day tomorrow," he said. "Let's make sure we're ready." His eyes stopped on Aaron, then moved to me, just for a second. Then away. Same pattern. Same bias. But something underneath it had shifted. Because now, there was doubt. And doubt changes everything. I packed my bag slowly that evening. Not rushing. Not stressed. Just focused. Because tomorrow wasn't just another meeting. It was a stage. And this time, I wouldn't stay invisible. Not because I was louder, but because the truth was about to become impossible to ignore. At night, I receive an unknown message. "If you go into that meeting unprepared, you lose everything." I stared at the message on my phone. "If you go into that meeting unprepared, you lose everything." No name. No number saved. Just that. For a moment, I thought it might be a mistake. Then my phone buzzed again. Another message. "He's not your only problem." My chest tightened. Not my only problem. I looked around my apartment. Quiet. Still. But my mind was moving fast. Aaron stealing my idea made sense now. Pressure. Fear. Survival. But this message. This felt different. Bigger. I replied carefully. "Who is this?" No answer. Minutes passed. Nothing. I put my phone down, but I couldn't ignore the feeling growing inside me. What if this wasn't just about Aaron? What if something else was happening behind the scenes? Something I hadn't seen yet. I opened my laptop and pulled up my system. Everything was still there. Safe. Clean. Then I checked my email again. The meeting invite. Helen Ward. Regional Director. That name mattered. She only stepped in when something affected the company at a higher level. Which meant tomorrow wasn't just about a failed demo. It was about impact. Reputation. Money. I leaned back and closed my eyes. I had proof. I had control. But now I had a warning too. And warnings don't come without reason. Before going to sleep, my phone lit up one last time. A final message. Trust the logs, not the people. I realize someone inside the company is trying to help me, secretly. The next morning, the office felt different. Quieter. Tighter. Like everyone knew something serious was about to happen. The conference room was fuller than usual. Senior staff, managers, even people from departments I rarely saw. And at the head of the table, Helen Ward, calm, sharp, watching everything. Aaron sat near the front, dressed perfectly, focused, trying to look confident again. Paul stood beside him, speaking quietly, almost guiding him. I took my usual seat, further back, but not hidden anymore. Not today. Helen started the meeting without wasting time. Yesterday's presentation raised concerns, she said. We need clarity. Her voice was calm, but firm. No emotion, just authority. She looked at Aaron. You'll walk us through the system again. Aaron nodded. Of course. He stood, opened his laptop, connected to the screen. I watched closely, every move, every click, because I knew something he didn't. He had worked all night, trying to fix what he didn't fully understand, trying to rebuild something he never created. And now, he was about to test it again, in front of someone who wouldn't be easy to impress. The demo started. This time, it looked smoother, faster, more stable. For a moment, I felt something unexpected. Concern. Had he actually fixed it? Aaron began speaking confidently again, explaining features, walking through the system. The room was quiet, watching, waiting. Then Helen asked one simple question. Is this running on a live architecture? Aaron paused, just for a second. He answers, yes. The moment Aaron said yes, I knew. He was guessing, or worse, lying. Helen didn't react immediately. She just nodded. Show me. Simple. Direct. Aaron smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Of course, he said. He clicked into the system settings, navigating quickly, too quickly, like he was trying to stay ahead of something. But the deeper he went, the more unstable it became. I could see it building, like pressure under the surface. Then it happened. A delay, a flicker, again. This time, people noticed faster, because now they were looking for it. Aaron kept talking, faster again, trying to explain through the issue. But his voice was changing, tighter, less certain. Helen leaned forward slightly. Pause, she said. Aaron stopped. Silence. Explain the data source, she added. Aaron hesitated. And in that hesitation, everything shifted. Because this wasn't about presentation anymore. This was about understanding. And he didn't have it. He started explaining. But his words didn't connect. Didn't align. Even Paul looked unsure now. For the first time. And then, Aaron did something he didn't plan. He looked at me again. In front of everyone. Eli worked on parts of this, he said quickly. He can confirm. The room turned. All eyes on me. Helen says, Eli, come forward. I stood up slowly. No rush. No panic. Just steady. Each step toward the front felt different from before. Not heavy. Not uncertain. Clear. Because now, I wasn't reacting. I was stepping into something I understood completely. I reached the table. Looked at the screen. Then at Helen. Then at Aaron. He didn't meet my eyes this time. Can you confirm this system? Helen asked. Her tone wasn't aggressive, but it was precise. I took a breath. This system looks like mine, I said. Murmurs spread across the room. Aaron's head snapped up. Paul frowned. Helen didn't move. What do you mean? She asked. I stayed calm. The structure, the logic, the design, it matches a project I've been building for the past 3 months. Silence. Heavy. Real. Aaron stepped forward. That's not accurate, he said quickly. We've been collaborating. No, I said. Not louder. Just clearer. We haven't. The room shifted again. Because now, this wasn't technical anymore. This was personal. Professional. Serious. Helen's eyes moved between us. Carefully. Do you have proof? She asked. I nodded once. Yes. Aaron's face changed. Not fully broken yet, but close. Helen says, then we will review everything formally. The meeting ended early. Not with answers. With escalation. Within an hour, HR stepped in. Emails were sent. Statements requested. Access restricted. The office felt colder now. Controlled. Structured. Like everything was being watched. Because it was. I sat in a small room later that day, across from HR. And Helen. Not as a group, but as observers. Listening. Walk us through your project, HR said. So I did. From the beginning. Late nights. Design decisions. Testing phases. I didn't exaggerate. I didn't rush. I just told the truth. Clean. Clear. Then I showed them the logs, timestamps, access records, Aaron's activity, every detail. They didn't interrupt. They just took notes, watched, processed. When I finished, there was silence. Then one question. Why didn't you report this earlier? I thought about it. Because that mattered. Because I needed the truth to be visible, I said. Not just reported. Helen nodded slightly, like she understood. Later, I saw Aaron leaving another room. His expression was different now. No confidence. No control. Just pressure. And something else. Fear. Because now, this wasn't about a failed presentation. This was an official investigation. And investigations don't end quietly. HR announces this may move beyond internal review. 2 days later, everything slowed down. No meetings. No normal work. Just waiting. And thinking. That's when I finally understood something clearly. Aaron didn't start as the villain. He became one. Because of pressure. Targets he couldn't meet. Expectations he couldn't match. A system that rewarded results, no matter how they were achieved. He saw my work. He saw an opportunity. And he made a choice. A wrong one. But a human one. That didn't excuse it. But it explained it. Meanwhile, rumors spread. About the investigation. About Aaron. About me. People started talking to me differently. Listening more. Careful. Respectful. Not because they suddenly valued me. But because the situation forced them to. And then something new happened. I was called into another meeting. Not HR this time. Legal. That changed everything. Because legal doesn't get involved unless there are bigger risks. Company liability. Reputation. Possible external consequences. I sat down. Calm. Focused. But I knew this meant one thing. This wasn't staying inside the company anymore. The lawyer says, we may need you to testify. Testify. The words stayed in my head. Heavy. Real. Because now this wasn't just a workplace issue. It was becoming something official. Structured. Serious. The legal team explained everything. Aaron had signed documents. Claiming ownership of the system. Presenting it as his original work. To clients. To leadership. That crossed a line. A legal one. If the company acted on that system. And it failed. The consequences could be huge. Financial. Reputational. That's why this mattered. Not just internally. Externally. We need clarity, the lawyer said. And we need it documented. I nodded. Because now, the truth wasn't just about me anymore. It was about risk. And responsibility. Aaron had pushed too far. Not just stealing. But claiming. Building on something he didn't understand. And presenting it as real. That's where it broke. That's where everything turned against him. As I left the room, I saw him again. Sitting alone. No one around him. No support. No confidence. Just silence. For a second, I felt something unexpected. Not satisfaction. Not yet. Just distance. Because this had grown bigger than both of us. I receive official notice, hearing scheduled. The room didn't look like a courtroom, but it felt like one. Long table. Documents. Voices measured and careful. Helen was there. HR. Legal. And Aaron. He looked different. Not just stressed. Defeated. But still holding on to something. Maybe hope. Maybe denial. The process started. Statements were read. Evidence presented. Then it was my turn. I spoke clearly. Step by step. No emotion in my voice. Just facts. Because facts were enough now. The logs were shown. Emails. File histories. Every piece building the same picture. Aaron's turn came next. He tried. He explained pressure. Deadlines. Fear of losing his position. He admitted accessing my files. But said he planned to improve the system. Not steal it. The room stayed quiet. Because intent matters. But actions matter more. And his actions were clear. When the questioning ended, there was no final decision yet. But the outcome was already forming. Visible. Heavy. Real. I looked at Aaron one last time. He didn't look at me. Legal announces, final decision tomorrow. That night felt longer than any other. Not because I was nervous, but because everything was about to settle. All the tension, all the waiting, all the quiet work. I sat at my desk at home, opened my system one more time, watched it run, clean, strong, exactly how I built it. No shortcuts, no stolen parts, just real work. That's when I understood something clearly. This was never just about revenge. It was about recognition, truth, and value. Not loud, not forced, but owned. My phone buzzed. A message from Ravi. You did it the right way. I smiled slightly, because that mattered. More than winning, more than proving anything. Doing it right, even when it would have been easier not to. I closed my laptop, took a deep breath, and for the first time since this started, I felt something settle. Tomorrow would decide everything. But I already knew one thing. No matter what happened, I hadn't lost myself in the process. The next morning, I'm called into the final room first. The room was quiet, too quiet. Helen sat across from me, not as an observer this time, as the decision maker. We've completed the review, she said. Her voice was calm, controlled, final. Aaron Blake violated company policy, misrepresented ownership, and created risk through unauthorized use of internal systems. Each word landed clearly. No confusion, no doubt. He is being terminated, effective immediately. I didn't react right away. I just listened. Because this wasn't just about him anymore. There's more, she added. I looked up. This case exposed a larger issue, she said. A culture that rewards visibility over substance. That hit deeper. Because she was right. This will change, she continued. Starting now. And in that moment, I realized something bigger than revenge had happened. The system itself was being questioned. She slides a document toward me. We want you to lead this change. I looked at the document. Promotion. New role. Direct access to leadership. Responsibility. Real responsibility. Not just for my work, but for how work is recognized. I didn't answer immediately. Because this wasn't just a reward. It was a shift. A chance to change what allowed this to happen. I accepted. Not for status, but for impact. Weeks later, I stood in a new room, presenting my system again. This time, it worked. Perfectly. No hesitation. No gaps. No borrowed parts. Just truth. People listened differently now. Not because I changed who I was, but because the truth became visible. After the meeting, Ravi shook my hand. You're not invisible anymore, he said. I smiled. Never was, I replied. I hear Aaron tried to appeal, and failed. Aaron lost everything. His position, his reputation, his future in that company. Not because he failed once, but because he chose the wrong path when it mattered most. And me? I didn't win by fighting louder, or reacting faster. I won by building something real. Something I understood completely. Something no one could fake for long. Here's what I learned. People can take your work. They can take your moment. They can even make you feel invisible. But they can't take your understanding. They can't take what you've truly built. And when pressure comes, when the truth is tested, that's when everything shows. So if you've ever been overlooked, keep building, keep learning, keep doing things the right way. Because when your moment comes, you won't need to shout. The truth will speak for you. And trust me, it always does. If this story meant something to you, share it. Because someone out there needs to know. Doing things right is never a weakness. It's your strongest advantage.